Europe is reeling from a series of severe storms that has swept across the continent, leaving a trail of destruction, power outage and transport chaos in this way. The storms, full of the combination of low-pressure system and usually warm autumn temperatures, were impacted several countries, where authorities issue warning for extreme weather conditions, including high winds, heavy rainfall and flooding. In France, the Atlantic coastal region have borne the burst of the storm force. Winds reaching up to 115 km/h were reported in Brittany, where thousands of homes were left without power. The city of Natal saw extensive damage to buildings, with the emergency service working around the clock to clear fallen trees and debris from the roads. In Paris, gusts of over 100 km/h disrupted public transportation, leaving delays in both rail and metro service. Germany has also experienced a significant impact, particularly in the southern and western parts of the country. Heavy rain caused rivers, including the Rhine and the rise rapidly, prompted fears and potential flooding. Authorities in Bavaria have warned residents in low-lying areas to stay alert, and the water level continued to increase. In the Black Forest region, fallen trees blocked by roadway for the complicating rescue and relief efforts. Airports in several major European cities have reported widespread cancellation and delays. In the UK, Heathrow and Gatwick Airport were both severely impacted in the high wind, forced airlines to cancel dozens of flights. A similar scene played out of Germany Frankfurt Airport, where ground operations were halted temporarily due to dangerous conditions. Railway service across the Europe were also disrupted, particularly the Belgium and the Netherlands, where overland power lines were damaged by strong winds. In southern Europe, Italy and Spain were containing with a heavy downpour and the risk of flash flooding. Italy's Civil Protection Department issued a red alert for several regions, including Liguria and Tuscany, where rivers have burst at their banks in some areas. In Spain, in the coastal region of Catania and Valencia have placed on the high alert, with the authority prepared for the possible evacuation of floodwater rise. Meteorologists have linked the ferocity of the current storm to border patterns associated with the climate change. Warmer temperature, particularly in the Mediterranean, have increased the most of May through the atmosphere, intensified the storm as more northwest across the Europe. Experts warn that extreme weather events such as these are likely to become more frequent and severe in the coming days. The cumulative of the storm is still being assessed. At least 5 fatalities have been reported across France, Germany and Spain, preliminary due to fallen trees and storm-related incidents. Rescue services are stretched with the local government urged citizens to remain indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. The European Union Emergency Service Coordination State monitoring the situation and coordination efforts between member of states. Additional resources, including the financial aid to technical assistance, may be made available to hardest hit regions. As Europe braces for the storm activity, the focus remains to immediate response and ensuring the safety of those affected by the areas. However, the long-term challenges posed by the more frequent intense weather events are likely to spark relevant discussion to climate adaptation to disaster preparedness across the continent. Europe is grappling with a wave of severe storms that have caused widespread power outage and major disruption across the continent. The storm, characterized by high winds, torrential rain and rising floodwaters, have affected several countries, with the government issue urged by the warning millions of people across people are facing to impact the extreme weather, which is believed to link into effects of climate change. In France, the western coastal region was particularly hard hit. Cities based at the rich low have been several winds, gusts of wind 115 km/h, trooping trees and damaged homes. In Brittany, thousands of households were left without electricity as a power line were torn down by high winds. Emergency services have been working around the clock to restore power and cool debris to progress, but this seems slow due to continued adverse weather conditions. Inland Paris and experienced significant disruption with a wind speed of over 100 km/h. Public transportation system was severely affected, with the city's metro bus service running their reduced schedules. Several trains were cancelled and high winds were cancelled to airports forced delays, leaving hundreds of passengers stranded. Germany is also living from the effect of the storm, particularly of the southwestern region. Heavy rainfall and caused rivers level and rise alarmingly, particularly along the Rhine and Double rivers, sparking constant potential flooding. The German Weather Service issued the flood warning in low-lying area, particularly in Bavaria, and weather level to continue to rise rapidly. The Black Forest strong winds brought down trees and power lines, blocking major roads and isolated some rural communities. Rescue operations are underway, but the emergency service have been overwhelmed the number of incidents. Authorities have urged residents to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. Southern Europe is not immune to storm warning, and Italy and Spain facing to dual threat by the heavy rain and flooding. Italy, Liguria and Tuscany region were placed on a high alert. Rivers began to overflow. In Genoa, schools were closed. The precautionary emergency shelters was set up to case evacuation becoming necessary. The Italian government has mobilized additional resources. The rainfall flood deserted in the worst affected areas. In Spain, the coastal region of Catania and Valencia were inundated in the heavy rain, with the meteorologists warning the possible flash flash flooding. In Valencia, the local government advised residents to prepare the potential evacuation as a rice river approached dangerous threshold. Several roads in the region were closed due to landslides and flooding when Valencia airport reported multiple flight cancellation. In the UK, the storm caused significant travel disruption. Major airports including Heathrow, Gatwick and Manchester had hundreds of flights delayed and cancelled due to strong winds and safety concerns. Train services across the country were also heavily impacted, particularly in Scotland and northern region where gusts up to 113 km/h brought down the trees and rail track. Thousands of homes were left without power, particularly in the northern inland and parts of Wales where emergency repair crews have been working to restore electricity. Meteorologists and climate scientists have pointed to distortion then linking this to the storm brought impact by the climate change. Warning then unusual sea temperature, particularly in the Mediterranean, have combined to increase in Moscow in the atmosphere, where the storm intensified the storm. This coordinated have made the storm and the violent and provided the experts warning that such extreme weather event could become more frequent as the global temperature continued to rise. Speaking on the ongoing storms, Donald Mitchell Schmidt, a living meteorologist in Germany, explained, "We are seeing a pattern of the more intense storm in the affected areas and traditionally aid to experience of such extreme weather. Climate change is amplified. The risk and sometimes must be people for. The economic toll of the storm is experienced to be significant. Insurance companies across the Europe are preparing for the way and claim relating the storm damage, while busy in the many region reported disruption due to power outage and transport delays."